Alright, we've got one package. It's kind of a little bulky. I see the little strip there and how it works. I do believe there's two things in here. The first one is one that I actually missed from last week. And there were two things that came out this week, but only one of them shipped. So let's begin with this. To ever you I've loved before, to me the one who loved you. What is this? Interesting. 2 movies, 1 story. Feature films. Huh. Okay, I see this is regions A and B. Japanese with English subtitles only. Okay. Let's take a peek at this. It's the same underneath the slipcover. That's pretty common. Do we have To Ever You I've Loved Before, To You the One Who Loved You. Feature film? Feature film. Interesting. This kind of reminds me a little bit of the Tsubasa Chronicle X movie crossover, although I sort of feel like this is probably constructed with a little more meaning. Not that those movies didn't have bad crossoverness, but they were kind of in the middle of both series, etc., etc. Anyways, interesting curiosity. And then we have Attack on Titan, which it's easy to overlook the fact that this came out just because, you know, the final episodes have already aired 1 billion years ago. And this is the limited edition version of Part 3, which comes with, first of all, the piece of paper that says all the stuff. Regions A and B. There's your English and Japanese dubs with English subs as an option. 2 specials on 2 Blu-ray discs, which would be those longer specials, I guess. I guess let's take a closer look at the box real quick. So this is the limited edition version, which comes with this thing and this, which has some stuff in it. 7 art cards and 2 enamel pins. And we got a booklet. Looks like a bunch of various goodies related to throughout the series. I want to take a look at these because I'm actually going to set these aside. And these are the 2 enamel pins. Oh, interesting. I'm not sure if this feels final chapters to me, but you know, it's an interesting goodie. Maybe it's unique to this, but it doesn't seem like it's super unique to this. Now, I think the real neatness would be, you know, those. But let's take a look at the art cards. And if you're here watching me unbox this and you haven't watched Attack on Titan, I do highly recommend it. I mean, I've praised it a lot when just talking about anime because, you know, it's got some really respectable writing going on. Like, I talked to a coworker recently and, well, he had seen a lot. It's just like, you have no idea just how much more this show is ready to... They're upside down. I think they are... But yeah, it's just overall very respectfully done series. I'm not sure if the ending is the most impactful of or endings I've seen, but it is still something that was pretty good. I'm not going to go too far with that. So now we're going to take a look at the insides of this. Some discs. I recognize, that there was a little bit of comics, some notes, some insert versions of the art cards, probably DVD and Blu-ray versions of everything. I mean, it probably says here, DVD and Blu-ray. Okay. Now the only question is, how do I want to put those with these? Yeah, I decided to be prepared this time, and I dug out parts 1, 2, and 3. There's a part of me that's like, do I do it in that order because I, as an American, read left to right, or do I do it in that order? So I kind of want to see all of them in there together. Admit it, you want to as well. Even if you're only here as a, maybe a collector who doesn't actually... I wonder... Can I put this inside here? Does it make sense to keep the art cards with it? Feels a little bulky. Just to make sure, yes, that was with the art cards. Because I'm trying to figure out how much of this to keep together. I feel like maybe I can keep this in there. Maybe I can put this there. And that's what the final collection, the final chapters looks like in its final completed box. Cool, and I'll just, I guess, put the art cards and enamel cards in the other place. So, you know, it's a small update, but I figure this month will be small. But we got a nice, notable release. Here's this week's Physical Anime Collection update. Alright, stuff I've watched. Frieren. So with my Friday friend, I decided we'll watch Frieren. I'm not sure if that was immediately on his radar. I was just talking earlier about appreciation for Attack on Titan because it's well written. Frieren is also very well written. I would also say it's very well directed, very well animated. There's a whole lot of stuff. I think I've seen some people maybe complain about it being a straightforward fantasy. But in that regard, that's actually why it's pretty good. There are twists in there that are very predictable, but their executions are pretty spectacular. It, as a show, feels pretty great to watch, in my opinion, and maybe it's not for everybody. But we only watched the first 3 episodes, and I definitely wanted to do that because, first of all, you have the 3-episode measurement, which is a common way to measure anime. But the other nice thing is episode 3 is just really great. I'd say it's examples of just real fun writing. Now, the interesting thing here is I'm watching it dubbed, and I've only ever watched it subbed, and when I go back and rewatch stuff, I watch it stubbed. And I still prefer it, but I guess the dub's okay. It's serviceable if you just do that. And I just prefer the Japanese version more. At least these 3 episodes in, content-wise, I think I actually lost track of episode 1. I was doing something else at the time. I don't remember what. But it doesn't have to do with watching anime, and so I kind of blinked and episode 1 was gone. Man, yeah, I'm having trouble remembering what it was. There's just been so much stuff. But, I think I couldn't remember exactly what happened in 1, 2, and 3, other than one thing I mentioned in 3 and scenes from 1. So the sense of timing was interesting. But it's also interesting because this is the sort of thing where I was telling my friend that, the show begins maybe somewhat more reminiscent of Kino's Journey, and I'm not sure how well he remembers it. And I'm not sure how well y'all remember the Kino's Journey that I know. I haven't seen the newer one, which may be different. But if we're talking about the original Kino's Journey, or maybe the old one, whichever you call it, that one was definitely you didn't feel that there was a growing story to that one. That one was, oh yes, Kinoko goes from moment to moment, and Frieren actually begins feeling that way. But I think it's after episode 3 where it starts getting a sense of progression, and some of the way the show itself shows this is just how fast time passes in the first couple of episodes. Just because, I mean, we saw Fern grow up pretty fast, and, you know, from Frieren's perspective, that would probably be the case. You know, I previously complained about the show, how I'm not sure if its portrayal of the timelessness is necessarily correct, but in that regard, I sort of feel like it is. But saying things like, oh, yeah, I guess I'll see you in 10 years, or, oh, it's just 50 years away, I'll just see you then. To me, yeah, again, I don't know that that's necessarily the case, because it's still the situation where the character has to do things from day to day, and to a certain extent, while it will feel like it's fast, that doesn't necessarily mean that it is. So, like, this past year definitely rushed by, but that doesn't mean that at the beginning of this year, I was like, oh, yeah, it'll be Christmas before I know it. It just feels that way once I'm here, but every day does feel like a slog going forward. So, time feels slow and fast at the same time. And, I don't know. It's just an interesting thing revisiting those feelings, because later in Frieren, you don't feel those as much. Like, even in episode 3, that's when they start introducing the really interesting writing stuff. Like, there's great stuff before, and then some of this is just like writing masterpiece. Just, and I don't know how to explain what I'm thinking without spoiling it, but I just appreciate it and feel it that way. There's a sense of, I don't know how to explain it without spoiling it, and I don't want to, but, you know, enjoying going back into it. Let me see. I'll Become a Villainess. That will go down in history, episode 10. That's right. What I thought was a reveal somewhere in the previous episode was actually the stinger for that episode, which meant that this episode dealt with some of that more important stuff. Maybe some interesting setup of stuff. I don't remember anything major happening, but I think they're starting to set up what the final conflict is maybe going to be to a certain degree. I wonder if this is going to be a show that ends at 12 episodes or not. No. Fun. The Do-Over Damsel Conquers the Dragon Emperor, episode 9. I'd say the previous episode was more fun than this one, but this one was still nice. Let's see, you had a bunch of stuff happening. And I think we had some interesting behavior from our main character. I guess it just feels like there was something more I wanted from her, just because this show gives you a lot of good things from the main character, in my opinion. But an okay episode. Probably on the verge of setting up what the season finale will probably be. Fine. Loner Life in Another World, episode 11. Okay stuff. I've commented before that the show still feels like there's no real immediate forward direction. Its pacing maybe feels like it's not giving us everything I wanted to see, which is namely our main character's new companion and their interaction with everybody else. Like, it feels like it's incomplete a little bit, but it was entertaining enough, I guess. Again, it's fine in the moment. It's wrong to try to pick up girls in a dungeon. Season 5, episode 9 happened. And I think there's a little bit of, maybe the show's trying to give us a little bit of sympathy for Freya, but I'm like, fuck it, no. But I guess we'll see. I think this part I find a lot more tolerable than some of the earlier parts. So this is one of those seasons where it's sort of like the general premise is not one that I find comfortable. But maybe I'll still find this season to be very endable. Well, I guess we'll have to see. Goodbye Dragon Life, episode 10. It's okay, I guess. I think a lot of my complaints about this show are about the same. Calling them complaints is maybe overstating it. It's just little aspects of it that don't settle perfectly well with me. Some of it's just fine. They had a thing happen and there was a stinger. I think that one was maybe also post-credits, so make sure you watch it. But, I guess that's setting up for whatever the finale is going to be like. But the problem is, I think while there's neat elements in play, I'm not quite sure what I have expectation-wise from it. Whatever. Still haven't caught up on Magie Lumiere, so that one's probably officially out. Dragon Ball Daima Episode 9. What happened in this one? God bless Vegeta. He's so fun. I know Piccolo also had a little moment there, but I think, it's very Vegeta strong. Bulma and Piccolo supporting in their own good, diametrically opposite sorts of ways. If there's anything I would complain about, it's that I'm not quite sure where it's going to go from here, and if portions of this episode feels like they were a little bit of a slowdown, but it's at least appreciable that it's revisiting a concept from the same series, but from a different perspective, one that's a very Vegeta style of things. And I don't know how to place it any other way, but fun stuff. Demon Lord Retry R, Episode 11. Again, kind of strange moving forward of stuff. Some scenes in there that I think are thematically setting up what maybe we should be feeling for this final couple episodes, but I feel like it's, as a show, it's continued to be something that I can't feel the show itself focusing on enough. And sometimes things just sort of happen. And while some of the elements happening here are fine, they're also just only fine, maybe? Basically the same old I've been complaining about. Demon Lord 2099, Episode 9. I think it was quite fun. I think things happened pretty much at a high level exactly how we expected them to happen. And I think it was just fun the way it was executed. Our main character continues to be quite a fun person to watch. And again, his ensemble is also a good part of it. Machina, again, having her interactions is very endearing to what we already enjoy about him. And Hacker Girl, whose name I can't remember, she's kind of a fun straight man, but also in his camp person. Yeah, no, it was just a fun episode. I've been highly appreciating this show. I guess I skipped over the healer who was banished from his party, because I haven't watched episodes 9 or 10. Again, I'm curious about the story of that one. We'll just see how priorities come for watching those 2 and now this week 3 episodes. So I might not get a chance to finish that one. Reincarnated Aristocrat, Season 2, Episode 22. Entertaining enough stuff, I guess. Standard Aristocrat stuff. I do believe it feels like it's making significant headway and progress, so it's not dawdling. It feels like notable things are happening, notable progress is being made. General good stuff all around related to that. Notorious Talker, Episode 11. I wonder if that could be considered a bit of a... Anyways, I'm not 100% sure that all the elements of what happened in this episode feel exactly right. But they were good enough in the way that this show definitely shows a very different sort of main character, I suppose. Someone who's... I don't think insidious is quite the right word, although there's an element of that to what he does. It's definitely very notorious. Yeah, it's in the title. That's a good thing. A very notorious sort of thing. Something I've said that's been kind of nice about it since the beginning. Although this one, again, I'm not sure how much of it is something I'm 100% convinced of, but fun enough. Sira Gensoke Spirit Chronicles, Season 2, Episode 10. Well, there were some elements of this episode that definitely had me a little unsure, I guess, why elements kind of went the way they did, because it felt like maybe the show was slowing itself down a little bit, maybe intentionally, maybe not. But it did set up something for finale for the season. Now, I do have a small complaint about that, and this is more of a personality thing where, in my mind, it probably would have been neater if we saw our main character kind of lose control, because there was a bit of a, oh, that would trigger an emotional reaction sort of thing. But I guess it kept at its similar pacing that it's had the whole time, which is fine. It's just I don't know, I guess setting up an okay season. And then, last but not least, we had Ari Frieren Season 3, Episode 9, which is definitely a in-between episodes between the previous one and the next one. The next one probably being the setup for whatever it's going to be doing for the finale of this. But I think it's kept up with the entire theme of this season that I said. It's been touching. This one's about a main character's interaction with one of the members of the harem, and I do feel like it's really nice when a harem show in particular doesn't just say, alright, we've created our status quo, let's all just be stuck there forever, because that's what it means. And while it's not necessarily trashing it, it's definitely doing stuff that's appreciative, or just like, yeah, you know what? This is a harem show where the harem element of it feels very, something. I don't know. Lost my train of thought because I'm like, oh yes, and then that was also there. So yeah, they're definitely setting up for whatever this last group of 3 episodes is. Big things gonna happen, and I guess we'll just have to see what happens with our main characters. Good stuff. So do I have anything else to really talk about? Not sure. I haven't done a lot of video game playing, just some stuff here and there. I guess I need to make sure I'm mentally prepared for the Shiny Rayquaza event. I don't remember if that happens this year or next year. Was it a Christmas thing? I think maybe it was a Christmas thing. Which would mean it's 2 weeks away. Oh my god, Christmas is 2 weeks away. I've got things to do. That said, and this is definitely I'm just getting old. I got the new washing machine. I think I mentioned it to y'all, and really appreciating just how well it worked with my first official load of laundry. Less exciting for y'all to hear from or hear about, I know. But I can say that if every time your washing machine goes bad you get a new one, for some reason every new washing machine will be loads better than the previous one somehow. Although they might live about the same time, but whatever. Funny stuff. So, I'll quit wasting y'all's time. Y'all, have a nice week.